This video is going to show you how to use AutoCrat to combine the spreadsheet with a template to create a huge worksheet where every question is the same and all the numbers are different for students. Alright, to begin with, this is my spreadsheet, the big projectile big team project question. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my add-ons, I'm going to go to AutoCrat, and I'll go to Open. While it's working, you know that each column is its own individual variable in these problems. Every row is going to be its own page in the big worksheet file. Okay, so AutoCrat is loading, and you can see I've already created one job. I'm going to create another job, and I'm just going to call this one big example. Big example. Next, then I'll get my template for my drive. As it turns out, well, I'll go to from drive. So it's accessing my drive, and that's the one I just created a little while ago. So big worksheet template, that's what I want. Click select, choose next. Now it's matching up the tabs. None of them match up, but they should. And the reason is because I wrote this in a different sheet, different tab than the first sheet. So I got to find the right sheet. It said scrap work. Actually, it's more important than scrap work. So now it's matching up the templates that I had with the templates in my folder. And it says, ooh, I have a problem. I have duplicates. As it turns out, my duplicates don't matter because they're not going to appear in my worksheet. These are actually the solutions to the problems that I worked out. So since they're not going to appear in the template that I created, I can just click OK and ignore that. So now it's all set. You can see the template here in the middle, the VO1 with the double marks on it, greater than or equal than, and it matches up perfectly. So I can see over here that everything in the middle matches up to something on the right, and if it didn't, I could choose one of my columns. But they all match up, and they did that on purpose because when I wrote the template, I made sure that my tags were the same as the tops of the columns. Now let's go to next because they all match up. File settings, I'll give it a name. I'm just going to call it big example, and I'll actually give it kind of a leader 03 big example. And I have a choice how I want to make it, a Google Doc or a PDF. I'll make this one a Google Doc. Multiple output mode. Well, there are 25 rows. This would create 25 Google documents, and I don't have anything up here in the file settings that actually would name each one differently, so it would be kind of a mess. I'm just going to make one single document, and then I'll assign a page to every student. So I'll number the students and say, you do page 1, you do page 2, you do page 3, and just do that. It says add page breaks between data rows. Yes, I want to do that, so each row will act as its own page. So single output mode, got the page breaks, that's good. I'll click on next. It's going to put it in the folder where I started everything, so I'll just leave it there. And I don't need any dynamic folders. You can play with this later if you want, but there's really nothing you need to set here. Share a doc, I'm not going to do that. I'll do that manually later. So I'll hit next. And a run trigger, I'm not going to do that. I'll do it manually. Run on time trigger, I'm not going to do that. I'll just do that manually as well. Share docs and send emails, no, I'll do that manually. And add remove, no, but just, oh, here we go, hit save. I think I had the wrong button there. Let's hit save. Great, so now it's setting up its script for doing everything for us. It's not actually doing it, it's setting it up. And the next step will be to run it. So here we are, I've got two scripts already set up. One is for the big worksheet, one's one big example, which I just did. And I can run it, I can edit it, I can view it, or I can just throw it away. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. So now it's running, and as it's running, what thing it's doing, and I'm sliding over to try to show you what's going on in the worksheet here. It's not going to show you right away. But on the right hand side, it's creating new columns. There they go. They just appeared. And then in these new columns, as it's creating documents or parts of the documents, it's listing links and telling me what's going on. So now it's 10 of 26, 18, 20. Okay, almost done. Finishing it up. That's great. So now it's all done. I'll close the window for AutoCrat. And over here on the right hand side, this is just proof that it's done. If I wanted to run it again, I could just delete all these entries over here and just run it again, and it would start over from scratch. So the question is, what did it just do? Well, let's find out. So this is what I just created. I'll double click on it to see what it looks like. And this is the file that was just created. So here's one worksheet. It says page 1. That was in my template. And then the names and these numbers 32 and 40, they were all a different row and column in my spreadsheet. The cool thing is it just made page 2, same question, different numbers. Page 3, same question, different numbers. In fact, I had 25 rows, so I've got all these pages. So I'll just number the students and say you're number student 22, and you'll solve page 22. So now I have this one big worksheet file. I've got 22 worksheets that are all the same, but yet they're different with different numbers, and I can assign them. Then when I get them, all the kids back together, I'll group them together and say 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's on a spreadsheet, I'll find the sum of answer A for students on page 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's say the sum is 12. And I'll tell the student, I'll say, well, for your question A, the sum of your 4 problems is 12. The sum of your next 4 problems for B is, I'll look on my spreadsheet because I've added it all up and call it, say, 20 if that's the number. And then the students compare answers to see if they get 12 when they add them all up. If they don't, something's wrong. So then they start talking about how do they do the problem, how do they do the math, where the mistake could be, and they start digging down into the nitty-gritty of the problem to try to find the errors. So they start thinking about, well, how they're thinking, which is that metacognition goal.